Hello and welcome to my review of my, entire Raven Guard Adeptus Astartes Horus Heresy collection video. Now, because my main legion is Dark Angels, there's a lot of crossover between the tanks. I don't put any Dark Angels markings on the tanks, not normally. I think there's only like one Rhino. I've put the different doors on. So that gives me a lot of freedom to swap them around with my Raven Guard Legion. And the same goes for the Space Marines in Mark 6. I specifically don't put the markings on. They've all got black armour, so it allows me to use them in both forces if I wish. Of course, I've got more Legion-specific units in Dark Angels, of course, than I do for Raven Guard. That's purely for the fact that there aren't really many Raven Guard-specific units on the store, in the lineup, in the rules. When it boils down to it, there are only really 3. So not much of a Legion segment in the scheme of things. You've got, of course, frontline and centre there, and I will be looking at these units, a bit closer to the camera in a moment. But you've got Corvus Corax, which is, of course, their Primarch. You've got an elite choice, which is their Mordathan, their snipers, and then you've got their fast attack choice, the Dark Fury squad, and that's it. One of their unique abilities for the Legion, I guess, is that the snipers, the Mordathan squad, they can use a Legion Storm Eagle as a dedicated transport. Not sure why you would do that, because their ranged weapons, the Nemesis bolters, are in fact a range of 72 inches. So whether you would need a transport such as a fully armed Storm Eagle gunship to transport them around the battlefield when their range of their bolters is just so long, it's longer than a las cannon even, is questionable, but there is that option. So what you see before you, not including the Rhino and the Sikaran, will typically cost about £300. A couple of those units are out of stock, difficult to get hold of, and the Contemptor itself, they've stopped making that altogether. If you want a Raven Guard looking Contemptor Dreadnought, you can only pick up the torso and the head. You can't pick up the legs or the shoulders or the feet. It's just kind of those two pieces in resin, which is a real shame. And they never brought out a Leviathan Dreadnought. I'll talk more about what units I would have liked to see, or what I would like to see in the future later towards the end of the video. But for now, let's have a look at these units up close. So first of all, let's see the detail of their Primarch. Very nice Primarch. I was pleasantly surprised with this one. Each Primarch has their own sort of unique attribute when it comes to building them. This one is definitely the wings. Everything else went together quite well. The base was a bit odd to put together, like where you put the extra pieces on the side, the angle of this Mark III armoured Space Marine here, getting the pose just right so that the one of his pistols is firing at the chest, or has just fired at the chest. The claws, luckily, are integrated into onto the vambrace. You just got to be wary of if they're straight or not. You might have to put a hairdryer in there to shape it. But what I'm really doing is just buying time to talk about the wings, because they are this model's unique attribute in terms of the build. Some of them, if not all of them, are going to be connected, and that's just the way it is. Some of them are connected to each of them, and some of them there's a gap. Where they're connected, you're going to have to get a blade in there and cut them to separate them, and it's tricky because these are, there's a big part of the resin piece that's just held on by these small, narrow attachments, really. And this whole wing is one piece, and this wing is one piece. That's the thing you're going to have difficulties with over this model more than anything, and I think that's what I've said in my review as well. But you know, what a model. Yes, it would have been cool to see a helmeted version, but how big would that helmet have to be to fit all of that hair in? There's a lot of hair there on Corvus, but the detail is lovely, and this is quite an old sculpt as well. It's not that new in terms of all the Primarchs and things, but yeah, very nice model. If you're into Raven Guard at all, this is a go-to. A bit pricey now, I think about 90 odd pounds. Yeah, it's definitely, you know, shot up in price. Then I'll leave the Dark Furies to last, but then over here you've got the Contemptor Dreadnought. Lovely Dreadnought. I haven't put arms on mine because I've got to buy some extra parts to have the attachments, but I'm going to equip mine with I think dual claws with the talons, just because I'm willing to forgo a ranged weapon for the Rule of Cool, because I think it would look really well, him kind of striding forwards and swiping with those big talons. I just think it would work very, very well. So that's the Contemptor Dreadnought. Then over here we've got the Mordathan. You can only buy them in a unit of 5, but you can have, I think, 10 in a squad. These are all right. You've got 2 of them that are kind of crouched. So there you go. That's one of the Mordathan. Nice looking models, but yeah, if you're going to pick up another 5, they're going to look exactly the same. You can't mix and match. You know, their poses. They are in one pose, and you just place their Nemesis bolters on there. You can't even swap the shoulder pauldrons around. So they're going to look a bit awkward if you had another unit of them, maybe in plastic, because they're not going to have the right pauldrons. They could have the Nemesis bolters. I'm not sure if you can find any Nemesis bolters lying around, but yeah, they would work well in 2 units of 5 or 1 unit of 10. And then the final unit right here in front of you is probably the worst looking unit. I actually prefer the look of the Wordbearer's Ashen Circle, even though their heads are moulded onto their bodies. These ones you can move their heads about, but it's just their leg poses are just awful. They really are. A couple of them aren't too bad. You know, case in point, that one's not too bad. He's got his leg cocked though. It's a bit odd. This one kind of got those leg cocked, but clawing with those lightning claws. And then you get, you know, silly poses like I guess these 2 are probably the worst poses. They're just terrible. This one's slipping on a banana, and this one is you know, skidding about. I don't know what to do with this. Put some things on the base. Yeah, this is the issue you have if you buy 10 of them. You're going to have, you know, because they've all got the same leg poses, you don't really want to be using those leg poses again. So you have to kind of be a bit creative. And unfortunately, that just means that some of the poses will be a bit off. So yeah, they're all right. They could be better. Definitely, I would like to see them refresh these in plastic. We know it's coming. We know they've already announced they're going to have plastic Legion specific units that are going to be released. And that's pretty much it for this Legion specific stuff. You've got the Primarch, you've got the Dark Furies, the Mordathan, and then you've got the Contemptor. But in terms of rules, there's only really 3 in the book. Of course, I've got the Raven Guard Rhino specific doors. This is my only Raven Guard Rhino. I guess it's to put the Mordathan in if I can't find a spot to place them sort of 70 inches away from the enemy. But yeah, I've gone for just single bolters and then a hunter killer as well. Now the other models I've put on display are to illustrate what other options you could choose that would work well in a Raven Guard army. So they're all about speed. I've not placed the jet bikes in this display, but definitely the jet bikes work very well. The new jet bikes, they're all in Mark 6s. The land speeders would work well if you you know, changed the armor to the Mark 6. The siege console, if you wanted to have a Raven Guard Mark 6 siege console for whatever reason, I think he works pretty well. his studs on his left shoulder pauldron are more pronounced than ever. I think that's a very, very cool model. So if you wanted to go down that route. I've got the Sakaran there to illustrate speed. You definitely want a Sakaran or two in a Raven Guard army. And then I've got a couple of other options. In terms of the recent command squad, for the command squad upgrade set in Mark 6. These work all right. I'd probably say they work better for Imperial Fists maybe, or even Dark Angels, but at a push you can use them. They've got studded pauldrons instead, but there's enough similarities there with the Mark 6 overall, with these standard ones, to kind of get away with it if you wanted to have some kind of command retinue, command squad for your Raven Guard. And of course, you know, save the best till last, the normal beaky Mark 6 Space Marines. They just fit the Raven Guard so well, and as you know in the lore, Raven Guard were, I think, the first to get the armour and to trial it out, and therefore any of the Mark 6 squads or kits that you can get will work wonders with your Raven Guard army. And that's all I've really wanted to say about Raven Guard and my little Raven Guard collection. There's a big crossover between my Dark Angels and Raven Guard because they've all got black armour, in that I will cherry pick some of the units from that legion and place them in a Raven Guard army if I wanted to use Raven Guard. Now, some units I'd like to see in the future. Of course, I'd like to see a Leviathan Dreadnought. I'd like to see a Raven Guard specific Storm Eagle, maybe, or at least some Raven Guard specific Land Raider doors or something like that. But I just feel like the army is lacking in specific units, especially when you compare them to like Dark Angels or Emperor's Children, Word Bearers, or even Death Guard with all of their Terminators. Some fast, lightning equipped Tartarus pattern Terminators would be incredible to match the aesthetics of a Raven Guard force. What do you guys think? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below. It'd be good to hear from you. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.